The ocean covers more than 70% of the surface of our Earth and is home to plants, animals, birds, and bacteria, and even sunken ships. Humans rely on the ocean for transportation and recreation, having fun, for food, and for all kinds of products we use in our everyday lives. And the ocean has a lot to do with our weather and the temperature of the Earth on land as well. Technically, there's only one global ocean, but you have probably heard of the Atlantic, Pacific, Indian, and Arctic Oceans, and maybe the Southern or Antarctic Ocean too. So what gives? Well, an ocean is one large interconnected body of salt water where water can flow freely from one area to another. Most of the salt water on Earth, what we think of as ocean water, is all connected. So we really have one ocean. We're not suggesting you try, but if you wanted to, you could sail all around the world without ever having to set foot on land. It would get pretty confusing if all that water all around the world was just labeled ocean on our maps. The different parts of the global ocean have instead been named and fought over, just like the world's lands have been. There are also other parts of the ocean that have different names. The National Geographic Society says there are about 50 seas around the world. These are usually parts of the ocean that are partially bordered by land. Then there are bays, gulfs, isthmuses, isthmus, and straits. All just different parts of the global ocean. Within all that water, there are a lot of really different kinds of places. In some spots, the ocean surface water is 80 or 90 degrees Fahrenheit, nearly as warm as a bathtub. Colder ocean areas might have surface water that is actually below the temperature at which water freezes, giving them a top layer of sea ice. Brr. The sea floor is as geographically diverse as dry land, too. There are deep trenches and tall mountains, some poking above the surface as islands. And the depth of the ocean varies widely from place to place. The average depth of the ocean is a little under 2 miles. But in one spot in the western Pacific Ocean, known as the Challenger Deep, it's nearly 7 miles down to the bottom. That means you could fit Mount Everest in that trench and still have more than a mile of ocean above the peak. You can hear more about Challenger Deep in Chapter 4. There are even parts of the seafloor where no light penetrates. Some of the animals that live down there have no eyes. There are other areas filled with all sorts of sea life, like fish, sharks, jellyfish, whales, and even narwhals. Yes, narwhals are real. Humans have always been fascinated by the ocean, but there are still areas we don't know much about because they're so difficult to explore. Later on in the book, you'll learn about an international project that aims to map the entire ocean floor by 2030. But even once we have a map, there's still so much more to discover. Maybe one day when you grow up, you'll explore these fascinating areas of Earth.
Why is the sea salty? Ben, age 4, from North Carolina. Great question, Ben. Have you ever licked your lips after going for a swim in the ocean? If you have, you probably noticed a distinctly salty flavor. To understand why the ocean is salty, you actually have to start with rainwater. Rain is slightly acidic, meaning that over long periods of time, the water can erode the rocks it lands on when it falls to the earth. To erode means to naturally wear away. Some of the minerals from the rocks are washed away by the rain. Salt is one of those minerals. The salt washes into streams, and streams run into rivers, and eventually all that water runs to the ocean, carrying the salt and other minerals it has picked up along the way. When that water gets to the ocean, there's nowhere else for it to go. Rivers flow to the ocean, not from the ocean. So the salt from all those different rivers just stays in the ocean, making the water salty. On average, ocean water is about 3.5% salt by weight. This means that for every 100 pounds of water, there are 3.5 pounds of salt. Because of climate change and pollution, some of the world's water may actually be getting a little bit saltier these days. There are also a few lakes that are salty. These are lakes with no outlets, that is, no rivers for the water to flow out of the lake. So the lakes collect salt and minerals just like the ocean. The Great Salt Lake in Utah and the Dead Sea between the countries of Jordan and Israel are both much saltier than the ocean.